Sheffield United 2, West Ham 2. West Ham just went away to Bramall Lane. And we drew 2-2. We drew 2-2 in the end. It was very action-packed. It was incident-packed as well, especially at the end there. It was absolutely fucking crazy, to be honest. But we'll get into it in a minute. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Drop a like on the video. And, yeah, I'm going to give you a quick review because later on we're back at 8 p.m. tonight for our Talk Hammers show where we'll be taking your calls, doing player ratings and doing stuff like that. I called a 2-1 win before the game. I got very confused pre-game because I looked at the team selection and I went on one of the apps that you get and it showed us playing a 3 at the back with James Ward-Prowse at left wing back. Very, very wrong. Turned out to be more of a sensible lineup, but it was just a bit of a scrappy game. Overall, I didn't not enjoy the game of football for a change. It was very open. I think you had two teams that both needed the win. Obviously, the draw's no good for Sheffield United. They're trying to get off the bottom of the table, and they're playing against a weakened West Ham as well. So it's a good opportunity for them. And West Ham need the win as well, especially when you consider our upcoming fixtures. And if we do want to stay where we are, we need to beat Sheffield United away. You have to. The first half, it was kind of end to end, but not in blistering fashion. It was like it weren't like you're watching. You know, obviously, you're not watching Man City and Liverpool here. You're watching not a very good West Ham, and you're watching Sheffield United. So although it was end-to-end, it was very scrappy. Lots of chances for both teams, nothing being taken. I wouldn't say any sort of world-class saves or anything from Areola. Everything seemed to be down his throat. You know, set pieces weren't particularly great either. I just thought we was lacking in midfield. We was really, really lacking in midfield again because, as we know, we had James Ward-Prowse and Souček as a pivot in the middle again. It doesn't work. They were both useless. They were kind of bossing the midfield again. I do think when you went in at half time, 1-1 was a fair result. I've got to be honest. And if you haven't seen it, Cornet finished. The ball kind of a bit of a scramble. Ball breaks through to him on the left-hand side after Moyes switched Cornet from right wing to left wing. And funny enough, you play the left winger on his strongest side. The ball drops to him. He finishes it. Decent finish as well. So we went 1-0 up. Then obviously Sheffield United pulled it back. And yeah, it was, like I say, 1-1 was a fair result. Second half went as it always does do. Wilder kind of made a sub at half time. He made a positive sub. He brought McBurney on just to give him some more attacking threat. And they were all over us. It was a miracle we didn't concede. Certainly in that danger window, the first 15 minutes up to 60 minutes, they were all over us. It was one-way traffic. It was fucking embarrassing, to be quite honest. But it did settle down. We did kind of grow back into the game, and we managed to get a goal from Danny Ings. Danny Ings' work, in the box. He did really, really well. Sort of spun his defender. Definite foul. And James Ward-Prowse dispatches it. What I will say, the thing that kind of changed it in our favour, and it did change it in our favour, was bringing Ben Johnson on. He brought Ben Johnson on because we didn't have much more, certainly in terms of senior options from the bench. He brought Ben Johnson on and he sort of played him in central midfield. And Ben Johnson did more. He did more in 25 minutes than the other two did all game. I know James Ward-Prowse scored a penalty, but he just literally, we looked like we had someone in central midfield all of a sudden, somebody that could carry the ball, somebody that looked quite fun. I was enjoying watching him there. He looked good. He was sort of drifting out to the left-hand side, coming into the middle, picking up the ball, winning it, nice passing. Just giving me 60 grand a week. Giving me 60 grand a week, keep him. He's a fucking good player. He is. He needs a run in the team. He is actually a quality player. He just needs game time. It'd be mental if we let him go. But yeah, so look, the game seemed to be petering out. We was 2-1 up. Sheffield United looked to be struggling to get the ball forward. You know, they were kind of, well, they're staring down the barrel of a gun, aren't they? You know, they're kind of, nothing's going for them at this point. They've created more than enough chances to be in front in the game. We've played shit and we're 2-1 up, which is pretty much the pattern of our season so far. But they did manage to get something late on. I think there was 6 minutes injury time, and then in the 95th minute or 96th minute or something like that, Areola goes up and wipes out McBurney. Doesn't get anywhere near the ball. He gets a busted face in the process. Gives a penalty away. Areola's down for what feels like half an hour. And eventually he gets rotated off. And Fabianski walks on. And McBurney dispatches a penalty. Good penalty. Bottom left-hand corner, 2-2. On the balance of play, you could argue a draw is a fair result because this was two very evenly matched teams. Okay, you can't dress it up. We do have more quality in certain areas, so we did look more dangerous at times. But in terms of the play, you know, I think they had more of the ball, they had more of the play, they showed more attacking intent. They just lack that cutting edge. We didn't have any of the play, but we've got cutting edge, if that makes sense, you know. So yeah, a draw is a fair result. However, there was one bit of controversy right at the end of the game. So probably last knock-ins, Bowen gets hauled down straight after their penalty. We go straight down the other end, and Bowen gets hauled to the floor. He does. He's kind of rugby tackled down, and they give the foul immediately. The ref gives a foul against Bowen. But then, in retrospect, I don't think they did look at it on VAR. Well, no, they can't have. They can't have looked at it on VAR because I'm sure it would have been a penalty, but they didn't. So we should have had, that was a Stonewall penalty in my mind. So we should have got a penalty, even though, like I just said, we probably didn't deserve it on the balance of play. We didn't, you know. Again, it was another one of those typical games. I did sort of send in a WhatsApp group with myself, Gary, and everyone else. I said, I told you, Moyes is a lucky manager. He gets these results. And it was looking that way. You know, another game where we haven't played particularly well, even though there were some good individual performances, but it looked like we were just going to get the 3 points. You know, we just win. But it didn't happen this time. And like I say, that is 2 points dropped against Sheffield United, irrespective of injuries or anything like that. The vast majority of our players would get into their team. But they did well. So fair play to Sheffield United. They're fighting for their lives down there. They came out. They weren't shy. They kept on going at us. They were brave and they got their rewards. I don't know how good a point does them. Probably not a lot of good. But and to be quite honest, before this game, the way I was feeling, if you'd have offered me a point, I probably would have taken it because I just don't feel like we've got much without the star players. And so it proved. But I am going to give a couple of mentions to players. And I'm going to talk about Danny Ings, first of all, who gets a lot of criticism. I think he was absolutely fucking phenomenal today. He worked tirelessly. His link-up play was brilliant. He had a couple of good strikes on goal. He was always lively the whole game for 90 minutes. He was a constant pain in their arse, and he kind of made things tick. Obviously, Jared Bowen back from injury. He was good. He was lively as well. He had a chance. Like I said, we did have chances where from a set piece and the ball just landed straight in front of him. I mean, that never happens. And he just kind of scuffed it. The other one is Ben Johnson. I thought Ben Johnson for me was just, if it had been on for longer, he would have been my man of the match because he transformed West Ham. Like I said, matches are won and lost, especially games like that. Typically, games are won and lost in midfield. We was losing the midfield battle all game until Ben Johnson came on. He gave us something. He just gave us some presence, some drive, and he just looked good. And I didn't talk about the obvious, and the obvious is Vladimir Sufel getting sent off, so he's going to be missing a few games now, I believe. He's probably going to be out for 3 games, I think it is. We've got to get Ben Johnson signed down to a contract. You have to. He wants 60 grand a week. Fucking pay him. Pay him. For a start, I think he's better than Sufel, and I think he certainly would be if you gave him a run of games, so he built his confidence. He looked happy when he came on. It was fun. He kind of really kind of... He's a brilliant utility player that you can play literally anywhere by the look of it. He's fantastic. Get him signed up. Get him signed up. He's one of our kids. He knows what it's like to be West Ham. Don't let him go. Keep him. 60 grand a week. You're paying Danny Ings 120 grand a fucking week. Just pay him. So that's what I think about that game. I do think it was. Look, I'm not going to get stuck into Moyes or anything like that. It's exactly what I expected. There was no craft. There was nothing like that. You know, it was an open game. Sheffield United were leaving space for us to attack because they were going for the win. So we did have gaps naturally. It was shit. We came out after half time, half asleep again. You know, if we'd have been playing anyone with any that was clinical, the game would have been lost in the first 15 minutes of the second half. It was poor. It was really poor. Shit, like it always is. So the same happened again. So no, I weren't happy with Moyes at all on that. Like I say, a point in the circumstances is a good point because I don't think Moyes can do anything without his star men. He physically can't. He ain't got the ability to do so. But look, as it turned out, we probably could and should have got the win because it was a contentious penalty that they got, and then we probably should have got a penalty the other end. But we didn't get it. 2-2. Can't complain about the result as well, equally, because in the balance of play, both teams were even and equal. If Sheffield United had won that, we probably couldn't have complained. You know, they outplayed us for large parts of that game. Yeah, it was fine. Oh, and I wanted to talk about Cornet. I know he got hauled off, but that is a player that I'm certain that we could play into form. I know he was a bit shit at times today, but there's good things about him. You can see he makes good runs. He's quite direct. He's a player that's got no confidence. He's a player that looks completely out of touch at the moment. If we play him, put an arm around him, give him some love, Moyes. I don't think that we need to go out and buy a championship left winger if you've got Cornet in the team. He's fine. You know, Paqueta's going to be back soon. Kudus is going to be back soon. Play Cornet. Get him some confidence. And I tell you what, increase his value, because as it stands at the moment, I know, or so I've been told, we can't currently find buyers for Cornet, Fornells and Ben Rama. No fucker wants them, including Benny, who's desperate for a move, because we've depreciated these players so much. Use them. Work towards the summer. Use them. You can get more out of them than what you currently are, even if they're not exactly what you want. You know, Cornet scored a goal today. You know, he basically got us a point. Just use the players. But no, look, that's it from me. We'll talk about it a bit more later. It was a very entertaining game. It was end-to-end, especially the end. Very frustrating. But yeah, like I say, weren't a boring game of football anyway. I will say that much. Anyway, look, that's it from me. I'll speak to you all soon. Gab your heads.